All right, this is going to be Algebra 2, Unit 2, Lesson 2. We are on domain, range, and function notation. We already have the setup. You guys want to say hi to Ben?
Hi, Ben.
Okay, so here we go. Setup is here. So what is a function of what? And Claire, you had it for us?
Do I have to say it again?
Yeah.
Y is a function of x.
Y is a function of x. That is correct. So that means I put in x and I get out y. So what is this form again? Do you remember the name of the form?
It's not standard form because standard form is not standard.
Slope-intercept form, because here we have our invisible slope and here we have our y-intercept. So slope-intercept form is the correct answer. So if I were to make a graph of this, I mean, you guys can obviously make a graph really quickly, but think about how that works. Every time I put in an x, so if I decide to put in a value of 1 for x, this is the x-axis, I guess I should label it. Every time I put in a value of x, I get out a y, and I get out a 2. Every time I put in 0 into x, I get out a 1. And if I put in 0.5, I get 1.5 right here. And if I put in all the infinite values, then it forms a line. So this is why it's a function. This is a line of the function that this equation represents. So I can come over here and I can actually make the line nice and neat. Let me try my best. I'll get the slope right and then I can move it like I always do. There, cool. And there's our line. All right, so let's talk about function notation. So next category, function notation. All right, so if you had, and give yourself some room, I want to fill in that left-hand side, but if I have our equation that we had up above, y equals x plus 1, I can also write this as f of x is equal to x plus 1. Can we nod our heads if we have seen f of x before? Okay, so it's pretty easy. Just think of, you can turn the y into the f of x. This is more correct notation because you're saying that we have a function of x. This function depends on x. And also makes it so that we can have multiple functions. If I want to have multiple y equals x plus 1 and maybe a y equals 2x minus 3, it gets confusing because I'm using the same y, so that's why this notation is superior. So the way that f of x is read, we'll write this out here. When I say reading, I put quotes around it, so it's f of x. All right, so then we're going to actually use our function notation, which is basically just substitution. And you guys are responsible for just doing this in the homework. And we might get through 2 lessons today because I feel like we have a firm grasp of what's going on here. So our last thing that we need to have in our notes is just using them. So using function notations. So I'm going to say the function that I'm going to be using over and over again is going to be f of x is equal to 2 plus 5, which means let's give ourselves 3 columns here. So I'm going to make a line, kind of a skinny column for our input, just a number, and we'll have 2 equal sized columns over here.
So we need an x function. 2x plus 1.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Thank you, Arrow. Yes.
But couldn't that work because then y would just be equal to one thing?
That it would work, but I should have wrote 2x plus 5. Otherwise, this would be a very dumb example. I just write 7 a bunch of times. But yes, thank you for the catch, Arrow. So I guess I can also make this kind of neat and make it like a table. I can say that if I have my inputs over here, so my input, so usually that's going to be our x, and then we're going to actually plug it into our function. That's going to give us our output, which is considered our y. So just as a quick little example, if I plug in x into my equation, so I have f of whatever goes in here is equal to 2 times whatever goes in for the x plus 5. And again, I'm plugging in that same x into both of those places to get the final answer. And I can just do this in a whole different color here. Just do black, I guess. So we have f of that thing is equal to, I guess it's the same thing, isn't it? It's still 2x plus 5, so 2x plus 5. And I'll leave it in red just so we can see that it stayed constant throughout. So let's try 2 more values to make sure we know what we're doing. Let's try 1 and -2 and evaluate it. You guys jump ahead of me.
Le preguntamos si conocen a un vecino que ocupa comida y usualmente hay varias personas que de verdad necesitan. Una vez
So every time you're going to write the same function, leaving space for the inputs.
hicimos algo de regalar como pañales y papel, like paper goods. ¿Cómo se dice? Like, I don't know, wipes.
That's a bad 2.
Pañales,
-2.
and then
-2.
champú, todo eso. Y lo hicimos
I guess I can make this equal sign a little bit better.
con dulces allí para los niños y todos. Y varias personas vinieron para agarrar y lo más bonito fue que una pareja
All right,
tenía como
we're good?
3 hijos en pañales.
We got these answers?
Y se acaban
Nods our heads,
de
yes.
perder su
All right,
trabajo.
so I think I'm going to shorten this lesson and just say that's
No tenían
great. You guys know function notation. We'll do the worksheet, and I think the worksheet should go pretty fast too because not very many questions. So we're going to end the video, and then we can get 2 lessons in today. All right, so that concludes this video.
bastante.